Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the launch of our new Solutions Series, Mastering New Business Challenges by Modernizing CRMOL. I'm Leslie May, Solutions Marketing Manager here at Neudesic, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Today's presentation will focus on improving productivity and also reference some casework that we've done surrounding new business challenges in healthcare specifically. Today, our webinar presenter is Rian van der Merwe. He's our Senior Solutions Partner and Director of Neudesic's CRM Practice. Just as we're getting things off and going here, I have a couple housekeeping notes to share. Everyone is going to be set to mute for the duration of the presentation, and please make sure your phone or your headset is muted to avoid any background noises. We strongly encourage all of you to participate and ask us questions throughout the session. Go ahead and type them on into the questions part of the GoToWebinar control panel, and we will hold all questions until the end of the presentation, and then Rian will field the questions that we've compiled then. So at this time, I am pleased to hand over our presentation to Rian.
Thank you, Leslie. Welcome, everyone. Today, as Leslie said, we're going to look at some specific business challenges we come across a lot in healthcare and where Dynamics CRM OnLine can actually play a valuable part, and we'll talk about some of the projects we've done and our experience in that space. Now, our specific focus is going to be on the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, and specifically member issue management in that space. And we'll talk a bit about just what we've done for customers to actually meet the reporting and SLA requirements in that space. And we'll also talk a bit more general in terms of what we're seeing in the healthcare space and specific focuses for us. We're actually, from this year, part of the Microsoft Industry Partnership for Healthcare, and we're specifically focusing on 3 areas in healthcare. The one side, from the insurer or benefits plan side, we're looking at ACA issue management. We're also looking at outreach management, focusing on how do we get a 360 view of our patients/members, and specifically for non-HIPAA data. And then the third one, looking more at devices, looking at more smart devices under a program called New Care in terms of using the new wearables and also other medical health equipment to actually pull that data together in the new IoT space. So let's kick this off. Now, there's a couple of the customers from Neudesic and healthcare. As a CRM practice, we were part of the 2014 President's Club, so basically the top 10% of partners worldwide. We've been in the CRM space about 10 years, and over the time we've touched a number of the big healthcare providers, and we're happy if for later on when we talk more to talk references and everything else like that. Now, big challenges out there in the healthcare. I think one of the big things from our perspective is that patient data seems to be trapped in silos and core systems. So there's a lot of obvious HIPAA data that needs to be in EMR systems, and there's a couple of big contenders out there. We're more focused on things that are the non-HIPAA data, so the other contact data, the appointment data, how do you actually interact with your customers, plan data, things like that, that because there's such a number of back-end systems and things so distributed, how do you actually have an authoritative source of this data? Then also, because a lot of the systems are really embedded in these back-end systems, it's really difficult to manage communications, so outward communications with your patients, even with members, with your staff members, and specifically giving them the ability to save profile data about their interactions, specific preferences, how they want to be contacted. And so in that space we play a lot. And then also deep operational data is always harder to consume. So a lot of what we do in our outreach management is actually combining this data in a 360 view, making it easier for providers, for healthcare professionals, to people in clinics to actually access this data for a customer quickly. And also as regulatory guidelines changed, a couple of years ago there was the issue where started in California, where any letters getting sent to members needs to be sent in their selected native language. So those kind of things, those kind of preferences that you're being legally forced to do, especially also the new opt-out things, the new ways you can actually market and the rules around that. So as all that changes, you need something that's really flexible to allow you to quickly change with that. So part of the platform play we're presenting here goes towards that today. And then as patients move specifically with ACA, where patients or members are more mobile, you really want to keep a full life cycle of them. So someone at some point is a member of your plan, or they use your services as a provider, and then at some point they move to another provider. You'd obviously want to keep that data for, firstly, to obviously have that record available, but also then for future marketing and other activities to be able to reach out again to those specific members to help that full life cycle and care life cycle. Now, opportunity-wise, it's a massive market out there, specifically something that was coined from Herb Quindy from Microsoft in terms of setting your data free. So how do you build that golden record for non-HIPAA data? How do you nurture your relationships? Because specifically with ACA being one of the biggest growth points in a decade for membership to plans and to providers, how do you, and allowing people to be really mobile now between different providers, how do you actually make sure that relationship is built out the way to keep that member, but also when it goes further, when you start doing directed communication, specifically with managed care, and also proving that for hospitals that they're actually reaching out to certain patients with specific modalities in a structured way, that they're actually doing their required duty under some of the ACA changes and rules as well. How do you track that? That's where core CRM is becoming incredibly useful. And then, as I said, preferences. How do you want to be contacted? Do you want the pharmacy to send you an email or a text when your medication is ready? How do you want to get results? Things like that. What's your primary mobile number? And as things become everything mobile, that's becoming a really cool thing, capturing that real primary contact point of a person. And then also to be able to drive more interesting applications, specifically for this non-HIPAA data. So if I'm a patient and I want to start maybe sharing my sleep patterns via my wear my phone, my iWatch, Microsoft Band, whatever device you use. How do you actually keep track of these documentary signatures that someone actually gives you the right to do it? So that whole digital side of it becomes a really big thing you need to track as well. And it's really not something for EMRs, it's something for more the non-HIPAA side of the world. Now, specifically in the ACA environment, so as I said earlier, we've been working with a couple of really big providers, and they've all said at different points in time that the biggest growth in new plan members that they've seen in the last decade occurred really the last 2-3 years with ACA, and it's just going to keep on growing. So a massive growth spot there, but also the whole issue management. So I'm a member of your plan, I paid up, I'm ready in a hospital, I want to use the plan, and there's something wrong with that membership, or there's other challenges to the membership, be it governmental, be it legal. To actually track that is becoming a really big deal, and specifically with HICS level cases and then other escalation cases, we find obviously there's a lot of government oversight and feedback and transparency required, and also very strict service level agreements. So we get to the point where some specific escalated cases have a 24-hour turnaround, or other cases have a 3-day or 21-day, depending on the specific rules for the case types. So being able to actually measure that and to specifically show your SLAs are being met to the government, also to your patients. So patients have got multiple issues, you actually give them the quickest possible service, and on the other side of also just making the process more efficient, being able to handle more cases, being able to scale. That's what we've seen as a really big challenge for the providers. And we've done some work for a couple, and we've busy currently in finishing the second phase for a really big provider. And they came to us a couple of months ago saying, look, we've got to standardize all our processes, pull it all together, have automated SLAs, and because currently they were using some old technology at the back, and we have 2 months. And we were pulled in because we had done for this provider previous outreach management system that's got over 10 million members in it, also built on the Dynamics platform, and it actually pulls all the authoritative data and gives the really non-HIPAA golden record for the members. So we managed to actually do that in 2 months with a biggish team. And why we were able to do that is Dynamics CRM is such a powerful case management platform. It's incredibly configurable. It gives you a lot of things out of the door. So it really comes to taking our clever business analysts and architects and a couple of developers and actually molding that to fit into the case management lifecycle tracking for this, and then the reporting that goes with it. Now, the specific solution around member case tracking is really all about taking specific channels of complaints, questions, issues, and bringing it to a central, really, case management system which automatically gives and assigns SLAs by case type, and then also gives the ability to have reports specifically driven by the SLAs, also making sure your workforce that are actually managing these cases can see the cases that are most important because of SLAs, and driving that step-by-step workflow in terms of if they hand it over to external providers and then bring it back in, to have this full transparent view of your whole life cycle of a case or multiple cases to specific members. And then also really driving from the productivity side to enable you to tie to your backend systems to actually pull in member data, to pull in other relevant data, so as they are working a case, they can actually immediately get that data from the backend, or even automatically when the case gets created or gets downloaded from something like a HICS and imported, to automatically load those cases ready to go and fill in the extra data, map it automatically to a member if you have already a member. And then out of that, because the case management is so well defined in Dynamics, you can actually then take the SLAs, immediately have great visibility in your list of cases. Different team members can be assigned queues for specific cases. And then cases can obviously flow in different ways. So in our biggest example, we've got cases coming from email systems automatically monitored and then converted. We've got systems coming off state systems. We've got things coming in from spreadsheets from other providers that gets uploaded into the system, but it still gives you the single core case management system within the full lifecycle tracking every change in status. So once you get a case, when someone starts working, it starts looking at as you hand it to maybe another provider to create something in the back-end system, it keeps track of that. And so it keeps track of that full life cycle to allow you to then very easily produce reports for the regulators to say, this is what we're doing, this amount of cases that came in, this amount of open cases currently, it's the current production last week, this is the number of new cases that came in. So a lot of visibility and a lot of direct compliance you can show. So we actually, we got invited by the specific provider we worked for to present this to the regulators. And one of the statements was that the specific implementation was the best they've seen from any provider, and this was one of the last ones they visited. And we also got invited to actually demonstrate this to the regulators on one of their monthly calls so they could show it to some of the other customers to show the level of tracking that is possible. Now, the solution itself, to talk a bit about the internals of it, it's built on Microsoft Dynamics CRM. We call it an XRM solution because it's really a solution on top of the platform. And we've got two specific solutions. The one is all about outreach management, so pulling data from disparate systems and tying it together in a single authoritative view. And the second is specific case management, customizations around ACA, X cases, escalated cases, grievance cases, things from special for taxation, where people don't have the right tax information, all those kinds of cases. And tying this all together, so basically getting the power of the platform and then laying this on top. Now, the one thing it gives you is it gives you that 360-degree view. So you can look at a specific member and say, I can see all the cases they've ever had in their lifetime. So specifically for people that have a lot of cases and issues, or a lot of time people through different channels will create different cases. So it actually allows you to see everything tied to this member. It's also, the data model knows, is very much designed about the application subscriber member model as per ACA and the issue resolution definitions there. So it knows out, it's got all that kind of data, can do uploads from other systems, it can get uploads from the state, it can also pull it from your backend systems to make sure that you've got the maximum amount of membership data together on one point. And it also does very specific processes down the back. So escalations, escalating a manager when things don't start getting to 80% of the SLA, all kind of sort of things built in to protect people if cases are getting close to being out of compliance. Then also it's got a strong portal component allowing more regular users inside of your company, specifically people on help desks, call centers, even getting emails, anyone like that. There's a portal interface allowing them to capture specific cases and then look at the status of cases being worked, and then the ability to actually file specific notes or information back and forth. So when someone phones in again, they can give them the current status. And that's normally after case creation, it becomes a read-only thing. And we've got one of our customers got thousands of them, of these portal users across the country actually sitting in call centers, taking calls and creating cases or looking it up, but a much simpler interface than people actually working the full cases. Now, the question comes up, why we building it on the platform, specifically Dynamics CRM, why we don't actually do it from scratch, as many systems are being written these days. And the main thing is what we get out of the box. So immediately putting down the platform, we get a mobile experience. So people can access this from their mobile devices, but it uses your security, so whatever level of security and access you allow. Secondly, multiple channels. So as channels expand, people want to communicate through different ways. They want to communicate through Twitter. You want to socially do social listening. You want to actually see what they're saying about you. So when cases pop up online on the media, you can get ahead of it by actually listening and also creating cases that way. The cloud. So the main thing on the cloud that makes us deploy quickly is it's basically you turn the switch and it's there in the cloud and you can start using it and start deploying on it. So it gives us a speed to market. Secondly, you don't have to have a massive IT deployment to use it. It gets done on the cloud. There's obviously all the security you'd ever want to make your IT okay with it security-wise. It integrates with your security, integrates with your apps you've already got to make it easier to manage. And then the platform is robust and really, really quick, well-performing, and some really strong integration features. So the biggest one we've built for one of the providers has got, as I said, 10 million plus current members, 20 million previous members, and then all kinds of historical data, every possible contact method, every web interaction with that goes through the system with the API reference to it, and everything subsequent performance. So it's very robust. It's great for distributing it out to multiple users, from a 5-user deployment to a 50,000 user deployment. And it's really as simple as adding licenses. And just you get the speed of the cloud. So as things get upgraded there, it's just you get that benefit. And then lastly, there is really strong integration tools built into the platform. So we chose this platform as something that gives us quick time to market, decent cost to our customers, and a really strong platform for us to customize it to the specific healthcare needs. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Rian, we do have a couple questions, and for the attendees, if any others are coming to mind, please go ahead and type them in right now. Here's the first one, Rian. How long does it take to deploy an incident tracking solution?
Oh, that's a great question. So to my example I spoke to earlier, we've done it as quick as 2 months end to end to get it stood up. We follow a very agile process, so we basically do initial discovery with your subject matter experts, and then we come up together with a backlog of these are the critical things that needs to be done for the different rollouts, and we call them sort of sprints to rollouts, normally a week to 2 weeks on these rollouts. And you can go as quick as 2 months really with bigger teams, and I've seen people do it longer, but I would normally suggest that, you do sort of 3-month cycles. If you've got a bit more time, it gives you the ability to actually deliver something, get it in front of the users, and then iterate and make it better the next time around. So it's all about the iteration and the journey, because as we found with most customers, there's obviously the initial platform and the IP, intellectual property we bring to it to get you up and going, but then as your user starts using it, we find out more about your work process and efficiencies that can be added, and that's really great in the sort of agile environment we normally pitch this towards.
Okay. Here's another question, Rian. How do you approach integration to other systems?
Oh, okay. So the platform itself has got a pretty robust web service system now, and that can tie to most middleware systems that we find in most institutions. We also, as Neudesic, have a product called Neuron, which is an integration project which has been used in many HIPAA level projects, and some of the top companies in the world use that. That allows us to easily wire up with an adapter for Dynamics to your backend systems. We've also used SQL Server SSAs pretty well with some adapters. So a lot of options, but most of them not massively expensive. We really focus on the flexible part of it, specifically because we pulled it from a lot of the backend systems. We really got adapters and build for a lot of these standard backup systems, Epic Cerner, things like that. We'd normally bring in one of our middleware tools to actually just help with those transformations if there's anything specific. And sometimes also in those feeds you actually want to take out parts of the data, things that are more HIPAA related that you don't want in your systems. So we use a lot of times, we'll use that as well to actually, these tools to clean the data up before they get into the backend systems.
All right. Well, Rian, thank you very much. This is wrapping up our time for today, but I do want to reiterate and let everyone know that this is the first in a half-hour solutions series that we're going to be repeating about mastering new business challenges through modernizing CRMOL. And for further information, for any additional questions you may have, and to keep track of upcoming sessions, visit neudesic.com/modernizing CRMOL. Thanks again, Rian, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.